Everybody, how's everybody doing tonight? I hope you're all having a great Thursday and welcome to our Sketching After Hours session. Happy everybody's joining in and hanging out. We got a couple people already jumping in the chat already. We got Lauren, we got Wolf Midnight. How's it going, you guys? You guys doing all right? Cool, cool. Ready for some anatomy for storyboard artists? It'll be fun. Cool. Awesome, awesome. Let's see here real quick. Do, 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 do. I got your images, Lauren. Boy, you've been working hard, my friend. Holy smoke. You've been putting in that pencil mileage like crazy. Good stuff. What's up, Long? How you doing? Good for you to join. So I got Buddha Belly. I got Wolf Midnight. I got my friend Maria. I got Useless Guy, Law. Everybody's here tonight. Cool. Appreciate everybody joining in. Awesome, awesome, awesome. We'll get started here in just a second and get going. So tonight we're going to be the theme for tonight is anatomy, but anatomy for storyboard artists. There's so many different anatomy courses over there on here on YouTube, and I figured I'd just do a simplified version of how I sort of look at when I'm storyboarding and how do I look at anatomy and stuff like that. But we'll get going in just a second here. If you're joining the chat and joining the live stream, throw a like down onto the live stream. Appreciate that. Drop a comment. Those help tell the YouTube algorithm we want to see more of that cool stuff that Paul is putting out there. So awesome. And if you're new to the channel too, drop your name in the chat. We got all of our friends here right now. Got a good group here tonight of fantastic artists here, and we're going to get going. So let me kick it off from the top for everybody. So good evening, everybody. My name is Paul Angeli. I'm a live action storyboard artist, and we bring to you tonight. This is our Sketching After Hours live stream. I created this YouTube channel a little over 4.5 months ago. I wanted to create a resource for like-minded creatives like yourselves, especially for visual storytellers, filmmakers, and storyboard artists, and put this as a resource and share a lot of my passion for film and filmmaking, animation, storyboarding, and visual storytelling. So if you are someone that's a creative individual and you said, hey, listen, I like to get into storyboarding and visual storytelling, or you're a seasoned pro, somebody who's been doing some storyboards for a while now, or doing comic books, and you want to level up your game, or you want to get a little bit deeper on honing in on your craft, or if you're just somebody that likes chilling out and watching artists work and what does a storyboard artist do, this is the channel for you. So I would highly consider subscribing, and I ask for your subscription to this channel. I come to you 3 times a week on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. And I've been dropping some more cool gems of videos and shorts and other new types of live streams on the channel as well. So if this is your type of thing, this is the channel for you. So tonight is our Sketching After Hours, but before I get into the Sketching After Hours, let's talk about the content that's coming to you folks, whether you're here on the live stream or you're catching this on the replay. I'm coming to you 3 times a week, and then on Tuesdays I have the Storyboarding Mastering the Basics series. The Storyboarding Mastering the Basics series is pretty much your how-to. It is your tutorial session. It's how to be a storyboard artist, all the functionality of we were just this last Tuesday we were talking about all the different camera movements to help you when you're putting your storyboards together, how to look at camera movement. And then on days like today, which is Thursday, which is our Sketching After Hours series, I sort of have everybody focused on, just getting together, get your sketchbook going. Doesn't matter if it's a small sketchbook, a big sketchbooks, whether you're somebody who likes to do cafe sketches or somebody likes to go to the zoo and sketch at the zoo. I think those are all critical, important things to do is to put those pencil miles in, put in those pencil reps, get better at your craft drawing. And, I think having a sketchbook, and even if it's just 5 minutes a day, just sketching a little bit, I think it's super important to do. I made comment to Lauren, who goes by Buddha Belly, and Lauren's been sending me her work, and it's absolutely, she's just getting started, but putting in those pencil miles, and Lauren, you'll see that work get better and better and better every time you draw the new thing. But I appreciate you sharing your journey with me and sharing your visuals that you've been creating. So good stuff. Cool. And then on Saturdays, we have our storyboard jam sessions. This is where we sort of pull it all together, and we go ahead and storyboard together. I'll usually kick off a theme, or whether it be horror or action or a car chase sequence or something, and we just storyboard together. So I hope this content is giving you some great value to you folks, and you're learning a lot from these live streams. I'm looking forward to Saturday's live stream storyboard jam session. I just can't believe it. It's going to be the 60th live stream I've done. I just can't believe it. Time flies by so quick, and it feels like I'm just getting started over here, and I can't believe we're at 60 live streams, man. It blows my mind. I'm like, wow. I started this channel. A lot of people were recommending, hey, Paulie, why don't you start a YouTube channel? A lot of people found out through the grapevine, some pros and other folks out there. They said, Paul, you're a college instructor. You should start teaching again. And I said, okay, cool. So I went around looking to see if I could teach at a school or something. But I was like, hey, listen, how about we take advantage of YouTube and use this platform to start teaching and helping other artists? And to me, I enjoy sharing my journey and my processes with you. I always wish I had that mentor when I first got started in the industry. And, I hope I can be there for you to help you out. And I appreciate everybody consistently jumping on, and really, I know that some friends are new, and some friends have been here since the beginning. I give a lot of respect to Maria. Maria's been part of every one of these live streams. I really appreciate you, Maria, jumping on, and we have a lot of new friends jumping on, whether it be Long or Lauren or or Wolf. It's like I appreciate everybody jumping on, and over time we get to know each other and use this as a platform. So please take advantage of what we're doing here on the live stream. For you friends that are joining in the live stream, type your questions in. I try to make this interactive, so it's just not a talking head all the time, and I try to move my screens and do some stuff to make it visually appealing to at the same time as we're drawing. But again, drop your name in the chat if you're new to the live stream. If you're watching this on the replay, I appreciate you joining in again, and we'll see you in the next live stream as well. And then don't forget to drop a like and a comment in this particular video, and of course, subscribe. It helps let me know, hey, we want to see more of this content. We like what you're doing, Polly, and if you can get out more, I'll try to put out more for you. So I hope this has all been helping everybody. So I hope everybody's having a great night. Let's get into tonight's session. So let me turn off Big Paul. Go to Little Polly. Okay, cool. So in this Sketching After Hours session, we're going to be practicing drawing anatomy. So you sit there and go, oh my goodness gracious, anatomy. Oh my goodness gracious. How am I going to get going in anatomy, And we have all different skill levels of folks that are watching the live stream, whether you're a school educated artist or taught yourself on your own how to do art, or you're a pro, or somebody just hey, listen, I want to tell some great stories. I just want to get better at what I'm doing. So a couple of things to think about coming to anatomy, there's all different, like I said at the beginning of the video, there's all sorts of books out there, there's all sorts of YouTube videos, and to break down how to draw human anatomy, male bodies, female bodies, creatures, characters, and all different types of things. We're gonna focus on the male and female figure this evening as we're having some fun drawing. Um, I think one of the things, like, if I ever did this again and started again, because I didn't go to an art school or anything like that. I went to regular university and ended up wanting to become a doctor, and went from being a doctor. So I know my anatomy physiology, but I went from being a doctor, wanting to be a doctor, and I had a buddy who said, "Hey, listen, take this computer class." And I remember just computers were just starting to get into classrooms and things like that. And I took this computer class and I fell in love with animation, and learned everything I could about animation. And at the time, this wasn't an art school, it wasn't an animation school or anything like that. I sort of self-taught myself from the here. Where's my books here? Over here. I think I had my two books that I taught myself animation. One was Edward Muybridge's still photography of you know of movement and things like that. And then the other book my cousin gifted to me was the Disney's Illusion of Life. And those two pieces of information, or those two books, were the things that I utilized to get started as a student, and taught myself everything I needed to know, but in a what do you call it, a multimedia type way. And I know my mentor professor was huge in video and film, and so I got to learn sort of that way. But I had to sort of self-teach myself. So when it comes to art and those aspects, yeah, I took a drawing course, and a painting course. But I think that was the extent of the art courses, the traditional art sense. I took art history. I was really big buff in art history and things like that. But a lot of these things, when I first got started, it was all self-taught in terms of what you're doing. So I feel you folks out there and feel your pain if you're sitting there going, "Wow, school's really expensive. How do I learn?" I take advantage of YouTube, and learn as much as I can this way. So I'm trying to provide some great resources for you to learn from and help you as you get going. So cool. I got Ronnie back on board. Let's see. Long time no see. Currently on the road at the moment, but I'll try to see if I can get home soon to watch the rest. Cool. Happy you can join in, Ronnie. Congratulations again on getting your license there. That's awesome. So hopefully you can either catch later in the stream, or if you can catch this on the replay. Appreciate you joining in, Ronnie. Always a pleasure. Ronnie's been another one that's been with us since the beginning we started this channel. So awesome to see you back again, and back in the saddle again, Ronnie. So, okay. So we're talking about anatomy and sort of how to go about it. Okay, and there's all different schools of thoughts. There's fantastic artists you can learn from, whether it be Bridgman or whoever it might be that you're learning how to draw from. When I think of anatomy, I think of simplification. And you sit there and go, "What, Paul, why are you thinking of simplification?" I'm thinking of simplification because as a storyboard artist, I'm not painting the Mona Lisa. I'm not doing the statue of David. I need to be able to know the proper anatomy, but be able to draw quickly. And sometimes you get caught up. Like I think I was commenting to a couple of people that reached out to me on Instagram through DMs, and when I'm doing hundreds of story shots, I don't have time to sit there and detail out with perfect proportions and everything in those pieces that you're doing. So you have to come up with some quick strategies on how to draw and how to draw the human body. How do you make a male look different than a female? How do you make a child look different than an adult? How do I make an older person look old? How do I make a witch decrepit? How do I make a superhero look like bullets can bounce off his chest? You know, there's a lot of different ways we can draw and do those things. And so we're going to teach those and share some of those tips and tricks of what we're doing. So let me go over here into Photoshop, friends. And here, this is what some of the images I drew for that roller derby. If you go back into the live streams, I did a whole roller derby, you know, little sequence there. So let me turn this off. Boop, and turn on my anatomy. Okay, so let me get this here. Hey, Azalai, how you doing? Good for you to join in. Appreciate you joining in. How's it going? Okay, so we're talking about anatomy right now, and you know, I'm just sort of sharing some images that I've posted of, you know, I'm excited, probably like a lot of you, you know, between the Deadpool Wolverine movie. I think I did this one a while ago before this film got going, but a huge Hugh Jackman fan, you know, in terms of, you know, as we're drawing and sort of simplifying. And I think even this character is a little too complicated, you know, for a board, but maybe a final board or something like that. But I have this character right here. I have a female character here. Sort of a utility belt. I got sort of a the little flavor, Wakanda, Black Panther sort of flavor on this one. Still a little too detailed, but if this was a single shot or a concept shot, that might be a little bit better. You know, something like this is something when I'm sketching is a little bit simpler, and we'll go into this sort of process too. So you can have some dynamic movements and some dynamic fight scenes in terms of what you're doing to share your story and have some fun with it. And then keeping going down, here's a little bit more simplified version of you know, a female character underwater, you know, has some sort of spear or something, as we're looking a little bit more simplified in terms of the shape language of the body, you know, showing something in motion, something showing something dynamic that's going on as she's falling into this abyss, and you know, has her staff there, or maybe she caught herself in the cavern as she's going down. Another more simplified character here of this more aquatic, you know, character here. You can sort of see the. I pulled some of these images so you can see sort of the underlying drawings. Usually you see the final image like something like this, but I wanted to show sort of the process and sort of that underlying drawing of those basic shapes and things. I had done a quick little sketch, pencil sketch of Supergirl, and before that Flash movie came out, I liked that new costume and sort of the short pixie haircut that she had for that particular film. I thought that was a great character. It's too bad that the movie didn't do so hot. I was really looking forward to seeing Michael Keaton as an older version of his '89 Batman. So you know, it is what it is. Here's a little bit more simplified version of where I sort of go when I'm drawing characters and just keeping it simple. You have those main points that you're trying to hit, but keeping that imagery simple in terms of what you're trying to do and trying to accomplish. How do I get that speed down? You know, in terms of when you're drawing. I pulled this image out too. I thought this was a cool little technique. I'll share this technique with you today as we're drawing. But I think this is a cool little technique of using some of your primitive, simple shapes to create your characters. And you're thinking of you know, X's and O's and triangles and squares and rectangles and you know, those different shapes, and that helps you out quite a bit. This image here is a little bit more complicated, but just there's if you take away all the sort of the pencil shade or the pencil tone out of there, it's a very simple but effective figure in terms of your drawing. So so I'm going to put a question out there. Let me pull up my question here. Here's a question for you all. Um, when drawing anatomy, is the hardest thing for you to draw? So I'm going to put this in the question there. So the question is for you friends out there watching, when you're drawing anatomy, what is the hardest thing for you to draw? What gets you? You know, what gives you the hard time? You know, we're talking the full body, and maybe we'll dive into hands, feet, and specific body parts later. But what is it that holds you back in your anatomy and when you're drawing anatomy? So drop it in the chat. This is interactive, friends. You don't get all the time to have somebody to talk to. So if there's a question out there or something that you're working on, what is it that you struggle with in terms of your anatomy? Just curious, and so we can sort of help curtail this sketching jam session to help you out as well, to be helpful to you. So put that into the chat. I'd appreciate it. Okay, so Lauren saying moving the I guess the character or the body, moving them in different positions. Okay, what else you got out there? Ronnie, Yazalai, Maria, Wolf, Bong. What do you guys run into? What are some troubles that you have? Leave it open in the chat there. Cool. Yes, I'm always struggling where limbs connect with body and the hands, maintaining proportions. Alchemy, welcome to the live stream, Alchemy. Nice to meet you over here. Cool, great stuff, great stuff. Okay, so we have some cool stuff. I just wanted to show you some of the artwork there. Foreshortening is also difficult. Cool, okay, gotcha. Okay, so let's tune this back and let's get fundamentals a little bit here. Boop, that's off. And then Wolf saying right now I have problems with heads and faces. Cool. And again, no problem, Alchemy. Pleasure to have you on board here and hanging out with us tonight. Okay, so I got my little pen here. And let's get in there. Let's see how big this. Let's see how big this is. So when you're thinking of anatomy, and there's lots of great books, you know, I think John Buscema with Stanley had the Drawing the Marvel Way. I thought I had that book somewhere. I might have that book somewhere. Might have gave it to somebody. But, you know, you have the Draw the Marvel Way. You have all sorts of drawing books. I don't know if I have any sitting out here right now. I don't see any just sitting right there. But there's lots of simple drawing books. But I think one of the things that new artists have troubles with is when you're looking at an image, you tend to want to draw everything. And I would say start simple and then work more detailed later. And I think you need to think in terms of looking at bodies or bodies in motion, and whether you're drawing a person live, like having a model in front of you, or you're drawing off a photo, or you're drawing off some sort of reference. It's how you see the body, and I think there's a few different things, and it's breaking that body down to its simplest form. We tend to want to get really complicated and draw every little nook and cranny of the human body, and when you're storyboarding, you really want to simplify it, and it makes it easier to draw. And the same thing as an animator, it makes it simpler to draw, and you're going to be faster in the terms of the storyboards, how quickly you'll create your storyboarding in terms of what you're doing. And if you're trying to take complex forms and break them down into their simplest forms. And what I mean by that is a few different things. It's like we need to think in squares, triangles, circles, rectangles. We got to see those primitive shapes. We need to see those shapes and keep those shapes in mind as we're drawing and when we're seeing things. And I think simplification is key. For a storyboard artist. Okay? And what I mean by that is, I know in the past I've been taught, but it's like you sort of think of like a sack of potatoes or a sack of flour, and when you're drawing that sack of flour, there's a lot of gesture in that sack of flour, and you could get a lot of emotion out of that sack as well, in terms of the way you're drawing. So you think about it like a sack or pillow. Okay? And this sack and pillow is a great sort of metaphor for your drawing, because you're trying to keep things to its simplest form, and as we're drawing. And what I mean by that is, like, your main torso of your body is gonna be that sack, and you have your head and your appendages, of the actual figure itself. Another way to look at this too, to simplify these things for yourself too, is to use that sack metaphor, but draw it in the simplest form. And if you could draw this simple shape, I would say this is sort of like what do you call it? Like a gingerbread man. If you can draw in these simplest forms, you can do all the detailed stuff later. And I would highly recommend, when you're drawing for storyboards, keep it really simple in terms of your drawings. And if all you can draw is a stick figure, you're already there, Or if you want to get a little bit more complicated, you can draw a person like that. That's great too. We're trying to draw these things, and I know our lesson, we'll get into the anatomy a little bit more, but if you can draw these simple shapes, if you can draw those simple shapes, you'll do great. So let's, I think a lot of you, I've seen a lot of your artwork. You don't need to do the stick figure, but a lot of filmmakers out there, and if you're a filmmaker and you're doing storyboards for your student film or your indie film and those type of things, you don't need all these fancy drawings like I was doing like this or, right here. In terms of what I was doing, you don't need all these fancy drawings. They're cool, but you want to tell your story. And if all you can do is draw with simple primitives and simple line art, uh, you can do enough to do some serious storytelling just that way. But let's go and let's focus a little bit more on this gingerbread man scenario. Let's work on him, and then sort of how does that relate to that sort of that flour sack beanbag type of character, and where could we go with that? Okay, so let's turn these off. Add a new layer. So because we could get a lot of emotion and a lot out of that simple ginger man type of character. And like I said, we can do it one for a man, or you can do one for a female as well. You know, you can do different characters, and I think of them as when I'm drawing these sort of silhouette characters, and that helps us simplify things too. Is we can do all sorts of things. So if there's a character here as a gunman, you know, or whatever it might be, you can keep those simplistic forms down in terms of what you're doing, you know. Or if you have somebody that's doing like some sort of martial arts or something like, you can keep these simple forms in terms of what you're doing. Maybe they're maybe it's Superman flying through the air. These are simple forms, you know, in terms of the story that we're trying to tell. And if you can draw these little characters like that and have some practice with this, it just makes it all that easier for yourself. As you're drawing. You know, if you can draw these simple forms. Now, as you get practice in doing these sort of silhouette little caricatures, in terms of what you're doing. If you can draw these simple characters, you can do a lot of storyboarding with that. Um, Yazalai says, then when building a portfolio is more important to showcase a simplified work which actually has storytelling power than one that only looks detailed. Um, great question, my friend. I think that's a struck a nerve on something I forgot. I was writing some notes because I'm currently putting together a lot of my notes together to help with the instruction and the beginnings of a book that I'm writing. And let me go to the big Paul. And so I think that's a really good point. So let me repeat that one more time. What Yazalai was asking. Then, when building a portfolio, is it more important to showcase simplified work which actually has storytelling power than one that only looks detailed? Okay. We get a lot of boards out there, and they're absolutely. I think I'm a little blurry here. Let's see if we can get this back in focus here. Uh, there's a lot of folks out there that do some just amazing work. Okay, just pro work, and you look at their boards, and it's just absolutely phenomenal in terms of the look, in terms of what you're doing, and I think the point is this: if you want to do a detailed drawing, that's great, and maybe it wows somebody, and and those are really exciting. But I would say it's more important if you want to be a storyboard artist and you want to tell stories. Your images need to tell a visual story, and as if I'm looking through a portfolio, I want to know that that person can tell a story through images. I need to know that that person can tell a cohesive beginning, middle, and end in their sequence. I want to see a lot of different things, but the most of all is I want to see a story. And if I can't see a story, then why are you a storyboard artist? If I see a single shot, it's great, but I want to see a sequence of storyboard shots. And I think that's really important to have. And I would rather have somebody. Um, I think there's a couple rules of thumb. Yeah, I want to see polished boards, in terms of the final stuff. But I also like seeing all the thinking behind what you're doing. And that's the part that us storyboard artists, we don't get to share a lot because you only see the final uh, storyboards or the ones that are dolled up a little bit that go in the art of books and those type of things. You don't get to see all the hours of labor of sketching and little thumbnail drawings and hundreds of drawings and all the thinking process behind. And I think that's important to show in your portfolio. Not that that's all that, but I think it's really important to show the way you think. And if I'm hiring a storyboard artist, I wanted to be able to see their thinking process, and I don't need to train that person. And they can execute the process and be a part of the team, and I can, deliver so many boards that sequence that person, knowing what I'm going to get out of it, and I can see their strategy of your thinking. So Yazla, I think that's super good question. One I've been thinking a lot about too is is to demonstrate that you can tell a story with images. Yes, single image is great if you can tell a story with a single image, but most of the time you're going to need, storyboard artists are doing. Somebody was asking me for an action sequence or something like that. There's probably hundreds of boards. You're doing a simple commercial. Maybe there's 25, 40 boards or something like that for a commercial or something even less. So you want to be able to tell stories through your images, and we were talking about it before. You start off with, if you can tell a story with one image and have it clear of what the mood is and what the story is, that's a great starting point. And then move into beginning, middle, and end. I think I've told the story about recommendations from other artists and things like that. I remember hanging out with having some late night chat at a restaurant with Steven Silver, and Steven was like, "Hey, Polly, you do some nursery rhymes. Just storyboard some nursery rhymes." And that helped me out quite a bit. Can you tell a story? If you can tell the story of a simple nursery rhyme, That these are all kickoff points to tell more and more and more complicated stories. So great question, Yazla. I hope that helped you out. But yeah, go for it. Yeah, show that thinking process. Not that it's everything that you do, but most of the time when you see these fancy boards and things like that, that it's usually um, that's usually for the art of book, or if you're trying to grab somebody's attention. But I want to see your thinking. I want to see how you came to that. You know, how are you moving the camera? How are you manipulating your shots? How are you editing? You know, how are you moving that character within the shot? You know, how's your staging and how's your blocking in the shot? You know, do you have a sense of perspective and knowing your lenses? You know, there's a lot to it. But let's get back to the board, and I hope that helps everybody out. Shout it out in the chat. And if you guys are getting some great value out of tonight's live stream, please consider subscribing. I appreciate that. It helps us support the channel and helps YouTube say, hey, we want more people to see Polly's content over here. So don't forget to also like and drop a comment in this particular video. I sincerely appreciate you, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to hang out with me tonight. And I enjoy myself hanging out with you guys over, you know, at home as well. It's what 12:30 in the morning for me. I started at 5 this morning, and now it's 12:30 a.m. again. So happy to hang out with you and happy to share. But let's get back into our characters here. And turn that off. Okay, so we were talking about just simplifying these characters, and we've done a lot of these characters, and you could just, and this is where, you know, when we're talking sketchbooking and stuff like that, go do these little sketches, you know, go watch when you're watching a film, you know, or watching your favorite anime or animation or whatever you're watching, freeze that shot and draw off there. You know, right now I'm just sort of freehanding. I'm not using any reference, and I'm not using reference photos, and I'm not watching a film or anything like that. Going off the film, I'm just sort of drawing. You know, just practice, and those are some great ways to practice your drawings. So again, you're sitting there on YouTube, you're watching me right now, but later tomorrow or the next day, just go and watch a clip of your favorite movie, you know, and pause it, draw that shot, go on to the next shot, and practice those figures, you know. Use your Pinterest, whatever you need to do to get yourself some reference material to start drawing from, you know. And I think it's great to be looking at action films. It's great to be looking at those type of things to get some dynamic poses, or one of those I guess type of films, because there's a lot of movement, a lot of fighting, you know, whether it be a kung fu movie, you know, martial art movie, or you know, cartoon or something like that, because that animator had to draw this stuff. So you know, there's a lot you can learn from by watching, and then sort of doing master studies and replicating, and then you put it into your own. You can sort of do how I do today, is you just sort of wing it and go for it, and draw, and it sort of comes naturally now, you know, so you don't have to sit there and get a bunch of reference in terms of what you're doing. But let's get a little bit deeper in anatomy itself. But these are some simple forms to help you think about, you know, if you can draw a stick figure and you can draw these simple little characters, you know, that will help you a long way in terms of your storyboarding. Because, you know, if you got like this Superman character here, there's like barely anything to it, but you know that Superman, you know, you sort of have a male or a female figure. And if you could draw these little figures like this and have some fun with it, you'll be able to, you know, draw your storyboard sequence, or a fight sequence, or a car chase, or whatever it might be. So let's get in. I ran out of sparkly water there. I talk so much, I get dry. Okay, so let's get in. Let's get to the next level of sort of a little bit more complicated board, or anatomy, in terms of what we're doing here. And sort of how I draw. Okay, so there's a few different rules of thumb when you're looking at anatomy and you're drawing. So let's get this blue color here. And there's a few things, and you can either look at it in shapes, in terms of what you're doing. And some people teach how to draw 3D and all that stuff, but let's sort of look at this way. And I'm just drawing some circles, and what I'm doing with that, throw a new layer on there, is with your shapes, you know. Let's just say I'm going to draw a male character here. And when you're drawing these characters, I'm thinking, like that when I'm drawing these characters. I'm thinking of those primitive shapes in terms of how we're looking at this, you know. And we want to keep it simple enough and not too complicated. But let's just I'm just looking at these shapes, these rhythms, in terms of how we're drawing here. We'll lighten this up a little bit, because you sort of think of that character we were drawing earlier, where it was that character like this. If we can draw that character, how do we do that with this character here? And let's just let me throw another layer on him. I'm thinking of that same character, but just a little bit more complicated. So if I'm thinking out loud a little bit, you know, I'm just thinking of that character a little bit different. So if you're looking at it, and if I get rid of these other layers in there, you know, it's a little bit more shapely in terms of anatomy a little bit, but you don't even need to get that complicated. So let me grab him real quick. Let's straighten him out a little bit. You could always play with these characters too to change them up as well. If you think about it, you got the character here, and you could even simplify it even more. If you think about that simplified shape as you're drawing those birds too, you can have that simple shape. And I hope this helps you. So this is sort of the next level of this little guy we were just talking about. There's a little guy. So this little guy, you can have the same sort of shape, and then we can get more complicated from there in terms of what we're doing. So sometimes when I'm boarding, I'll be thinking of those basic shapes as well. Okay, let's move, turn him off. So let's use that here, there. And if you're drawing, you can just simply draw your character that way too. You can use your shape language, in terms of your circles and things like that. In terms of let me try that one more time. I'll make that drawing. What I'm trying to show is your basic shapes. So when you're drawing that character, you get your circle, your chest, your pelvis, you have your appendages in terms of what you're doing. Then you can sort of fill in from there. And I think those are just different ways to look at your drawing and put that drawing together. We're trying to simplify these things in terms of what we're drawing. Okay, we're drawing the whole figure here, and I think it's it's also knowing your proportions too. I think somebody referenced proportions and knowing where the where everything is in relation in terms of each other. And there's plenty of drawing how-tos of what proportions are. We know that human body is about 8.5 heads or 8 to 8.5 heads, depending on which way you look at it. Uh, there's certain points where those, when you're trying to figure where all those things will line up in terms of your proportions, and we can go and do a bigger video or a quick video where we get to the point of how to do proportion and those type of things. But for storyboards, you're just trying to share your story. If it's close enough in proportion, you'll be fine in terms of what you're drawing, because you're not here to do a final illustration. Now, if an illustration for a magazine or a poster or something, yeah, you want a comic book, you want to be accurate. Here you can be close, and you can have some faults in it, but it's like I'm back to Yasalai's question. I want to be able to tell a story. I'm not sitting there getting critiqued on how well I drew Batman. Unless I was doing an animated show where I need to be on model, I need to make sure that I'm 100% that way, and doing that drawing perfectly that way. So a few different things there. So a couple things too, and we were talking about proportions and characters and those type of things, but so let's just talk basic structure a little bit. So when we see these primitive shapes, like a square, a circle, or a triangle, we know this is solid. We know could be soft. This is sharp. Okay, and when you're drawing a male figure, you're gonna use more solid uh, shapes in terms of your shape language. If I'm drawing a female, I'm going to use more rounded edges, softer. If I'm drawing a villain, he's going to be more sharper, more angular, more distorted, in that way, in terms of your drawing. And I think when you're drawing the male body, I always tend to just honestly think in squares. The chest, the head, mid torso, pelvis. I'm always thinking in those blocky terms. So if I'm doing it that way, I'm thinking of those blocks. And thinking in that blocky texture. I think a couple things with a male, it's usually the pelvis is smaller than the chest is going to be bigger. So if I'm drawing Superman or something like that, I'm gonna have a more of a blocky texture to him. We know that. I'm going to be a little bit more blocky in terms of the way I'm drawing the male figure. And then at the same token, I'm going to use more circular shapes for the female figure. So with the female figure, I'm going to have and this is the type of quick drawing I'll do if I'm boarding. This won't be, usually this is the stuff you don't see. But I think the thing to know with the female body that was different than the male is that the hip area is going to be smaller than the chest area. You'll use more circulars, you know, in terms of what you're doing. There's a couple different strategies, you know, to draw the simple female body. In terms of what you're drawing there. So these are the simplifications I do when I'm drawing, or I'm drawing a storyboard, you know, in terms of males versus females and sort of the basics of those drawings there. So I think those curved lines I also think of rhythms. You'll see me offset a little bit too. So let's put this into practice a little bit as we're drawing anatomy and we're thinking, because we're not really breaking down the body. We're trying to think of simple shapes to be able to tell our stories. Because you can watch a lot of videos and they'll show you sit there and they'll talk about like an arm looks like it's a chain in terms of a chain type of thing. And it's simple if I was just drawing a simple arm. I'm just drawing it like that. In its simplest forms. If I'm going to draw the chest in there. But I'm just sort of focused on these areas here. And you want to think of shapes. And we're just thinking of those simplistic shapes of what we're doing, trying to simplify everything in terms of how we're drawing, in terms of what we're doing. So I would always be thinking about that. And we could do breakdowns in another video. Let me know in the chat if you want to do breakdowns of certain bodies. You sit there and you look at your simplest form. Of what you're doing. It's that simple form. So break those things down into simple shapes for yourself, in terms of how you're drawing. So you sit there and go, well, how do I put this together, Polly, into a board or a shot or whatever it might be? So let's draw a shot here. So we're thinking of this simplest of So cool. Yazlai says, "Thank you for your advice, Paul. You're welcome anytime." And then Wolf Midnight says, "I've been drawing like you said, simple shapes. I managed to get the head look good without doing too many lines, and I'm happy with the results." Hey, that's fantastic. You want to keep it simple, in terms of what you're doing. So when I'm drawing, sometimes I'm just sort of sketching. I'm looking at the gesture a little bit in terms of what I'm doing, but I also too, if I'm working digitally, I'll just simplify it a little bit. I'll come back in if I need a correction or something like that. And just get back in there. If you're thinking about the simplest of forms, so if we're thinking about that, just keep it simple. Keep your drawing simple. Keep your anatomy simple. Get your have that working for you. Cool. Any questions out there? I'm gonna take a quick little eyeball break. Any questions? Cool. Just take a. We were talking about this on Tuesday. Take that little eyeball break for a second. When you're sitting there staring at a screen, I think it was Paxonite was having a tough time. Let me see, get this back in focus. Yeah, Paxonite was having a tough time, constantly working all the time. You got to let your eyes have a little bit of a break when you're sitting there drawing, and you're so focused on that particular drawing that you're doing. It's good to take a break, take a little, put it into the chat. Cool. What time is it? Oh, we're past 1. Cool. Everybody's pretty quiet. Okay. Cool. Let's get in and draw some more. Okay, here. So I'm gonna just freestyle draw here now. Oh, I'm so sorry, guys. I was just rocking away there with the drawings. Let me go back over here. Sorry about that. That's funny. Sorry, guys. There we go. Let me, sometimes I forget. I wish I had a little controller that I could whiz back and forth on. Yeah, I was over here. I was just drawing some characters and stuff as I was drawing. Cool. He's on the moment. That's cool. Yeah, it was just drawing here, just drawing some different characters and stuff like that. Tune this down just a tad. It's all good. Tune this down just a tad bit. Because then I can go in there. And this is sometimes how I do my drawings. I keep them really simple. And then I can sit there and you sort of get the idea. Cool. Any questions out there? Just drawing in different ways. And you're just sitting there, and I'm just sketching around here, just using simple shapes for this drawing. I don't know where he's going with this drawing, just sort of. Hmm. Interesting shot. Just start putting this together. Cool. So again, just use those simple shapes. We're not. I know I overdid this one here, but use those simple shapes. And just have fun with it. Keep those simple shapes going. So as we're working with anatomy and simple simplicity of what we're doing, I'm just having sort of fun creating. So I'm just having fun just drawing different. It's having fun drawing all these little characters. So when you keep it simple, you can get, as you can see, we can move things along pretty quick when you're drawing sort of simple. Just having fun with this. Yeah, so always use the simplest of forms in terms of your drawing and having fun with it. Sort of went on sort of a drawing rampage there. But, tonight we talked about, anatomy, some basic shapes between differences between men and women, how to keep your images simple so when you're storyboarding, your boards are simple, you can get done a lot quicker. You can get onto those sequences and move on quickly in terms of the way of your drawing. So you don't want to be super over complicated. You want to keep it simple in terms of what you're doing to get it done. Get to the essences of the simplification of your anatomy, simplification of your gesture, and have some fun with what you're doing. So take what we did tonight and give it some good practice. Get some practice in, and spend that time in those sketchbooks. Get those books out. Do your sketches within your books. Just practice what we were just doing tonight, and simplifying your characters, simplifying your anatomy, so you could sit down and really focus. I think Yazalai had a really great point tonight. We wanted to be able to tell stories, tell a sequence within those drawings, and when they're overcomplicated, you're going to spend so much time doing those individual images, you'll never get your storytelling done and your boards done. So, some good overall information for you. If you did enjoy the live stream today, please drop a like and leave a quick little comment in the notes for this particular live stream. Again, if you got some great value out of tonight's live stream, please consider subscribing. I'd really appreciate it. It helps to support the channel, helps us grow this channel together as a team, and reach more artists out there. Tonight is our sketching after hours session, just to hang out, teach a little bit, but also get in there and while you're listening to me or listening to me draw, that you're knocking out your drawings in your sketchbook. Again, have a fantastic evening. I thank everybody for joining in tonight. Wolf Midnight says, thanks, I'm practicing now. I'll be working on this. Cool. Keep going. Hey, and Wolf, don't forget, DM me over on Instagram. I'd love to see your artwork. So again, I just want to send a personal thank you to all the folks that are catching this on the live stream. I have Wolf Midnight, thank you. Yazalai, thanks for joining in again. I got my good buddy Buddha Belly, Lauren, nice to see you again. I had Alkme, thank you so much for joining. And Maria, appreciate you joining in every time, Maria. Thanks for hanging out. I got Ronnie, who's back. Great. And Ronnie, if you didn't catch the rest of the live stream, hopefully you catch the replay. But again, I appreciate everybody joining. And for those of you that couldn't catch the live stream and watching this on the replay, thanks so much. Have a great night. I will see you on Saturday for our next live session. I think that's going to be live session number 60. Can't wait to do it. Come on, let's get this done together. So again, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Take care and have a great night. Before I close out, I forgot to mention Long. Hey, Long, thanks for joining in. And Blissful Soul, thanks for jumping on real quick, too. Appreciate you folks jumping in on the live stream. Give you a shout out. So that's Long, known by Useless Guy, and Blissful Soul. Thanks for joining in, folks, right at the end. Can't wait for you to hear your feedback on the replay. Anyways, take care. Have a great night again.